Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
It's a nice, cool Saturday, but those temperatures will be dropping a lot more this week. To begin tonight, Summer Schnellbach is here to walk us through a busy time in the weather department. Summer?
Katie, busy time is exactly right. Many of us are busy gathering things for the holidays, but we have a lot to talk about in the weather department, especially in terms of the cold. It has been a chilly day, and we started some locations below zero. It was 8 below for a low temperature in Bemidji today, 4 below in Grand Forks, Monoman, and Langdon. That dark, thick gray line indicates zero, and many of us were below it. Right now, though, we are in the teens and 20s, so cool, right around seasonal. On satellite and radar tonight, we can see a little bit of mixed precipitation up along the Canadian border, but most of us just seeing some increasing clouds. With those increasing clouds, along with a warm front, temperatures will be rising a few degrees, but that won't last long. We have a big cool down along with several chances of snow to talk about in the 7-day forecast coming up.
All right, well, thank you so much, Summer. A Cass County inmate is dead after having a medical emergency in jail. Just after 5 p.m. Friday during meal service, deputies noticed 41-year-old Luke Leducer having what they are calling a medical emergency. They began life-saving measures but were unsuccessful. An investigation is ongoing by the Cass County Sheriff's Office, Coroner's Office, and the North Dakota Bureau of Criminal Investigation. A man crashed his car in Crookston last night, rolling his vehicle. It happened around 10:30 at the intersection of University Avenue and West 6th Street. 31-year-old Lee Edwards of Michigan was southbound on University when he went off of the road, hit a light pole and several trees, and rolled. Edwards ran away, but was found a short time later in the downtown area. Edwards was cleared medically, and his blood alcohol tested below the legal limit to drive. Officials say a citation related to careless driving and leaving the scene of the crash will be issued. A fire this morning in Grand Forks put guests at the Quality Inn outside for about an hour. Around 5 a.m., crews responded to the Quality Inn off of 30th Avenue South for a fire in the air conditioning unit on the second floor. Employees used a fire extinguisher to put out the flames. When crews arrived, it was only smoke. No one was hurt, but damages are estimated to be around $5,000. The cause of the fire is believed to have been electrical. The government official in charge of the nation's coronavirus vaccine program is apologizing tonight. He says delays in shipping the Pfizer vaccine to states across the country will get better next week. This as the number of those killed by COVID-19 tops 315,000, and health officials fear things may get even worse. Chris Pallone has the latest.
Saturday, an apology and a promise to do better from the Trump administration.
I am responsible, and I take responsibility for the miscommunication.
The mea culpa follows complaints from more than 24 states, which saw the number of promised coronavirus vaccine doses slashed without explanation. The head of Operation Warp Speed says the government overestimated the number of Pfizer doses, but help is on the way.
Last night, the FDA granted emergency use authorization to Moderna. In America, we are ready to distribute that vaccine.
It comes as infections explode in communities large and small across the nation. The U.S. setting a one-day high for new cases Friday, nearly 250,000. From California,
that we expect to have more dead bodies than we have spaces in morgues for them.
To Connecticut, where health officials are building a field hospital just in case.
We think there's a good chance we can remain below the need to use this facility, but it certainly is not out of the realm of possibilities.
To Tennessee, where people lined up for hours to get tested before Christmas. Doctors say having 2 vaccines will help, but not right away.
Having a vaccine is one thing. Getting it into people's arms is another altogether.
AAA says 85 million Americans will travel this holiday season despite warnings not to, stoking fears a dire situation could soon get even worse. Chris Pallone, NBC News.
The government expects Moderna will ship nearly 6 million vaccine doses by the end of next week. Congress is working through this weekend to try and pass a COVID-19 economic relief package costing nearly $1 trillion. The Senate was in session today while House members stood by for a vote that could happen tomorrow. The proposed agreement would deliver more than $300 billion in aid to businesses, provide the unemployed a $300 per week bonus, and renewal of state benefits that are set to expire right after Christmas. It would also provide $600 direct payments to individuals, vaccine distribution funds, and money for renters, schools, and people needing food aid.
Every one of us in the Senate and the House represent American families who simply cannot wait any longer for Congress to conclude these discussions. Every day that we delay may very well cost more small businesses their survival, cost more American workers their jobs, and yes, cost more Americans their very lives.
Democrats say the sticking point is a demand by Republican Senator Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania that would block the Federal Reserve from restarting expiring lending programs next year. Leaders at North Dakota's colleges and universities are preparing their COVID infrastructure for next semester. Over the fall semester, the state's testing capacity had nearly doubled, but now there are new tests available as well. While long-term care units and schools expand rapid antigen testing, the University of North Dakota will be offering it for faculty, staff, and students.
There's a limit to how much PCR testing we can do, but this can increase that amount of testing even further. And that's why we're excited about this at the University of North Dakota and other institutions.
State colleges and universities have been called on many times by the state to help with advanced testing and close contact initiatives. So far, only faculty and staff for non-higher ed schools have been eligible for institutional rapid testing. One North Dakota healthcare worker is sharing her COVID-19 vaccine story with hopes of inspiring others to get the vaccine too. This cell phone video shows medical laboratory scientist Michelle Thomas receiving her COVID-19 vaccine. She said when the vaccine became available, it was a no-brainer for her to get it. She hopes by sharing this video, she can encourage the general public to educate themselves and get it too.
There's so much fear and misinformation, and it really sucks when people would rather believe these twisted half-truths on the internet instead of somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Thomas says she is feeling fine other than the usual soreness in her arm following the shot. Volunteers and military family members gathered today at the Fargo National Cemetery to honor fallen soldiers, joining at cemeteries across the country on National Wreaths Across America Day. Valley News Team's Courtney Lockie talked with families who got to place wreaths on their loved ones' graves for the first time.
Landon Shower makes the trip out to the Fargo National Cemetery weekly to visit his mom's grave.
Both sadness and happiness.
Landon's mom passed away in February of this year. This will be his first Christmas without her.
Of course, she won't be forgotten.
Landon was one of several families who came to lay a wreath on a loved one's grave.
The Worcestershire Wreath Company back in 1992 actually started to have a surplus of some wreaths, so they brought it to the Veterans Cemetery in Arlington. And what they did is they started placing the wreaths in places that were not getting as many visitors.
Wreaths Across America making its way to Fargo. It's the first year the cemetery is putting a wreath on every grave.
They're remembered by saying their name out loud. When they place the wreath, they step back and say their name.
280 wreaths for 280 fallen heroes.
Give them a little solace that we did remember them, we did honor them, and we also kind of teach our youth around here of the sacrifices that were made.
A lot of people don't thank veterans enough. They don't get the proper credit, and just thank you.
In Fargo, Courtney Lockie, Valley News Live.
Today's ceremony was limited to 50 people because of the pandemic. The wreaths will stay up through the holidays. You can go and check it out at any time. Later on Valley News Live at 6, an easier way to get your hands on some Burger King thanks to Google.
And weather conditions tonight are looking rather quiet, but 24 hours from now, some folks will be seeing some light snow, even some rain as we wrap up the weekend. And that's one of 2 snow chances coming this week. I'll break down the details coming up next.